Hello, this is Miss Cole, and we are once again talking about rates of change from our proportions unit. This is section 2. The first thing to do is to define what a rate of change is. A rate of change is simply two things, and they change in a certain relation. So how one thing changes in relation or in comparison to the other. My favorite example of this is a ski slope. So if this were a ski hill, which would be rather steep, and you wanted to ski on it, you would go over a certain amount for how much you went down. So you go over and you go down at the same time, and how much you go over and how much you go down is the rate of change. Another example that you can think about is if somebody starts right next to you and they start walking away, the amount of time that passes and the amount of distance they are from you is going to increase together. So you watch them walk away, the distance increases, the time increases. One more time. As they walk away, these two things are changing at the same time, and if you graph their points, it ends up being a nice line. So that would be two examples of rates, but now we're going to figure out how we calculate the rates when we have a graph. So here's our ski slope again, and I want to find out the rate of change, how steep it is, between this point at 4.7 and this point at 5.3. Now we're going to subtract the points we're going to subtract this one from this one to find the difference. Like if you have if you start with 3 cars and you buy some and you end up with 10, to figure out the difference between them, you subtract the beginning from the end. So we're going to subtract the beginning from the end. So let's look at this. The first thing we have to do is we have to subtract the y coordinates. And remember, we go beginning from end, so we're going to go 3 minus 7. And that gives us -4. The next step is to find the change in the x direction. So that would be 5 and 4. We're going to subtract beginning from the end, and we end up with just 1. The last step is simply to divide, because remember, we're finding rates and proportions and stuff. So dividing is the big way to find a unit rate. And so we have -4 over 1, and that equals -4. So the rate of change for here is 4 feet down for every foot over. That's really steep. That's dangerous steep. Okay. And remember, you always take the points right to left when you are subtracting. So right coordinate here, left coordinate here. These are the x's, these are the y's. These are the y's, these are the x's. There's another way that rates can be presented to you, and they could be presented in a table. So here's the table of our ski slope. We started out at 0 over, so this is our x coordinate, and this would be our y. 0 over, well, I guess you can think of this as up, because he starts at 15 high. And then as he goes 1 foot over, it becomes 14 high. And then 2 over, and we only have 12 high. And then we have 3 over, and there's only 9 high. So let's take the same points as we did last time. Let's take 4.7 and 5.3. The first step is the same. We find the change in the y. We need to find the difference between 7 and 3. And remember, we subtract the beginning from the end, so we get -4 again. And then we're going to find our change in x, subtracting beginning from the end. 5 minus 4 is still just 1. And when we divide, we still get -4 divided by 1, which is -4 feet per foot over. So now we're going to talk about what it looks like when we talk about increasing, decreasing, or 0 rate of change. These have very distinct features, and if you're asked if it's increasing, decreasing, or 0, you don't have to do any calculations. You can just look at the graph. So if the line goes up from left to right, it's going up as you move across the page, then it's increasing, or a positive rate of change. When something happens, something else happens more. Okay, so if somebody starts this far from you, and they're walking, and they're walking, they get closer, they pass you, and then they keep going. Larger rates of change are going to have steeper lines. So here's a steeper line. This person caught up to you much faster, passed you much faster, and they're way ahead of you at the end. Next, we're going to talk about decreasing. If a line is decreasing, it's going down from left to right. This is going down, so it is negative. See, this person was ahead of you, and now they're walking towards you, and now they're behind you after they pass you. The last thing that you might see is a horizontal line, and that is zero change. That means nothing's happening, everything stays the same, nothing's going on. And that's it.